He started noticing a pattern in his struggles. Every time something collapsed in his life, something inside him quietly strengthened. When a job opportunity slipped away, he learned to improve his skills instead of blaming others. When relationships ended, he learned to stand alone without losing himself. When plans failed, he learned to adapt instead of breaking. The weight didn't disappear, but it slowly changed him. And that's when he began to understand something powerful. Growth rarely feels comfortable. Muscles grow by resistance. Character grows by pressure. Faith grows by waiting. What felt unfair might actually be intentional. What felt heavy might actually be necessary. There were days he wanted quick success more than real growth. He imagined how easy life would be if everything suddenly worked out. But deep down he knew something important. If success had come earlier, he wouldn't have handled it well. His patience was immature. His emotions were unstable. His confidence was fragile. The delay wasn't to hurt him. It was to mature him. God wasn't trying to keep him small. He was making him ready. And readiness takes time. Preparation is often invisible, but it is never wasted. The silence wasn't empty. It was building depth. One evening, sitting alone after another disappointment, he felt something shift. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" he asked, "What is this shaping inside me?" That single question changed his perspective. Suddenly, every challenge became a teacher. Every delay became training. Every closed door became redirection. The weight didn't feel lighter, but it felt meaningful, and meaning changes everything. Pain with no purpose breaks you. Pain with purpose builds you. He stopped measuring his life by speed. The world celebrates fast results. Quick money. Instant fame. Overnight success. But roots don't grow overnight. Trees that grow too fast fall quickly. The strongest structures are built slowly, brick by brick, layer by layer. He began trusting that slow growth was not failure. It was foundation. And foundation matters more than applause. Months turned into years. Progress was still slow, but something inside him was solid now. He didn't panic like before. He didn't compare like before. He didn't doubt like before. The weight had trained his mind to stay calm under pressure, and without realizing it, he had become the kind of person who could carry responsibility without collapsing. The struggle that once embarrassed him was now his strength. The silence that once scared him had become his classroom. There was a time when he thought strength meant never feeling tired. But he learned something different. Real strength is continuing even when you are exhausted. There were mornings he didn't feel motivated. Nights he questioned everything. Moments he wanted to disappear from expectations. Yet he kept moving. Not perfectly. Not confidently. Just consistently. And consistency under pressure changes a person. It teaches discipline when emotions are unstable. It teaches control when frustration rises. Slowly, he stopped depending on feelings and started depending on commitment. That shift alone made him stronger than he had ever been. He also realized that pain reveals character. When things are easy, everyone seems strong. But when pressure increases, the true foundation shows. Some people blame others. Some run, some give up quietly. But he made a decision. He would not allow hardship to make him bitter. Instead, he would let it make him better. Every disappointment became an opportunity to build maturity. He began responding calmly instead of reacting emotionally. That calmness wasn't natural. It was trained by seasons of frustration. Silence from heaven still existed. There were no dramatic miracles. No loud breakthroughs, just steady, unseen growth. But that unseen growth started showing in small ways. He handled criticism differently. He processed failure without collapsing. He waited without panicking. And that is when he understood something deep. Sometimes, God answers prayers by changing you first before changing your situation. Because if your character isn't ready, your blessing can become your burden. He stopped chasing validation. Earlier, he wanted proof that he was progressing, compliments, recognition, approval, but the silent seasons stripped that need away. When nobody applauded, he still worked. When nobody noticed, he still improved. That is rare strength. Motivation that doesn't depend on attention is powerful. The weight removed his dependence on external praise and replaced it with internal stability. One day, while reflecting on everything he had endured, he noticed something surprising. The struggles that once felt unbearable no longer intimidated him. The same challenges that once broke him now barely shook him. That's growth. You don't always see it happening, but one day you realize what used to destroy you now simply develops you. The weight didn't disappear, but it no longer controlled him. It had trained him. There was something he finally understood about pressure. Pressure doesn't arrive randomly. It appears exactly where growth is needed most. The areas of his life that felt the heaviest were the same areas that later became his greatest strengths. Financial struggle taught him discipline. Rejection taught him humility. Loneliness taught him independence. At first he wanted comfort, but comfort would have kept him average. Pressure forced him to level up. It demanded maturity. It required responsibility. And while it hurt, it also carved something powerful inside him: resilience. He stopped praying for an easier life and started praying for stronger character. That shift marked the beginning of true transformation. He also learned that delay protects you from premature success. If everything had happened earlier, he would have celebrated without understanding responsibility. He would have received opportunities without appreciating their value. He would have handled influence without wisdom. Delay slowed him down long enough to develop stability. A tree that grows too quickly often has shallow roots, but a tree that survives storms grows deeper underground. His roots were being strengthened in places nobody could see, and roots matter more than branches. There were still moments of weakness. Growth does not remove emotion. Some days he still felt discouraged. Some nights he still questioned his direction. But the difference now was this: he didn't stay in those emotions. He felt them, then he moved forward anyway. That is maturity. Strength is not the absence of doubt. It is movement despite doubt. The weight taught him emotional control. It taught him to separate temporary feelings from permanent decisions. He stopped fearing silence. In fact, he began to respect it. Silence gives space for reflection. Silence forces clarity. Noise can distract you from self-awareness, but silence exposes who you really are. In quiet seasons, he confronted his insecurities. He faced his weaknesses. He acknowledged areas he needed to improve. That self-awareness made him dangerous in a good way. Because once you understand yourself, you can build yourself intentionally. Then something subtle but powerful happened. He stopped seeing himself as a victim of circumstances. He began seeing himself as a student of every season. That mindset changed everything. Victims complain about pressure. Students learn from it. Victims feel trapped. Students feel trained. When he adopted that perspective, the weight no longer felt unfair. It felt educational. And education, even painful education, prepares you for levels you haven't reached yet. By this time, something inside him had become steady. The chaos outside hadn't completely disappeared, but the chaos inside had quieted. Earlier, every setback felt like proof that he was failing. Now setbacks felt like part of the process. That change didn't happen overnight. It was the result of countless nights of reflection, prayer, and silent endurance. He began to understand that growth isn't measured by how fast things change around you. It's measured by how calm you remain when they don't. Stability became his new strength, and stability is rare in a world obsessed with speed. He also stopped comparing timelines. One of the heaviest weights he once carried was comparison. Watching others move forward made him question his own worth. But now he realized something powerful. Different seeds grow in different seasons. Some bloom early, some bloom later. But late bloomers are not failures. They are simply growing differently. The sun doesn't rush the moon, and the moon doesn't compete with the sun. Both shine when it's their time. That understanding removed a burden he had carried for years. There was a new confidence in him. Not loud, not arrogant, but grounded. The kind of confidence built by surviving storms. Earlier, he needed external confirmation to feel secure. Now he had internal assurance. He had seen himself endure pressure without collapsing. That alone gave him trust in his own resilience. He no longer feared difficulty because difficulty had already shaped him. The weight that once intimidated him now strengthened him. He started noticing opportunities he would have missed before, because he wasn't desperate anymore. Desperation clouds judgment, but patience sharpens it. Earlier, he would have accepted anything just to feel progress. Now he could discern what aligned with his growth and what didn't. Delay had trained his decision-making. He wasn't rushing toward doors just because they opened. He was evaluating whether they were meant for him. Then one day something changed externally. An opportunity appeared. Not dramatic, not flashy, but real. And this time he was ready. Not emotionally fragile. Not impatient. Not insecure. Ready. And that's when he realized the truth. If this opportunity had come years earlier, he would have mishandled it. The waiting wasn't punishment. It was preparation. The wait wasn't cruelty. It was conditioning. The opportunity that came wasn't loud or glamorous. It didn't look like the dreams he once imagined. But it was solid, real, stable, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel desperate, he felt prepared. Earlier in life, he would have rushed into it with excitement and fear mixed together. Now he approached it calmly. That calmness came from everything he had survived. He wasn't trying to prove himself anymore. He was simply stepping into what he had grown into. The wait had refined him so much that when the door finally opened, he walked through it with confidence instead of anxiety. As he moved forward, he noticed something interesting. Challenges still existed. Pressure didn't magically disappear, but the difference was internal. Earlier, pressure overwhelmed him. Now it sharpened him. Earlier, criticism broke him. Now it corrected him. Earlier, uncertainty scared him. Now it motivated him to prepare better. The same storms were present, but he was not the same person. Growth doesn't remove storms. It builds sailors who can navigate them. People began noticing his progress. Compliments came. Recognition followed. And some said, "You're lucky." That word almost made him smile. They didn't see the nights he questioned everything. They didn't see the silent battles. They didn't see the discipline when no one was watching. Success often looks sudden to outsiders, but for those who lived through the process, it feels earned. The weight had been invisible to others but very real to him. He realized something deeply humbling. The pain he once begged God to remove had become the very thing he was grateful for. Without the delay, he would have been impatient. Without rejection, he would have been proud. Without silence, he would have been shallow. The weight shaped his character more than comfort ever could. And character sustains success far longer than talent does. Standing in a place he once prayed for, he didn't feel arrogant. He felt grateful, because he knew something most people ignore. Blessings feel different when you've been built for them. When you've grown through pressure, success doesn't intoxicate you, it stabilizes you. The weight that once felt unfair had become the foundation under his feet. And foundations, though invisible, hold everything up. As his life slowly stabilized, he began looking back at the years he once called wasted. He remembered the frustration, the tears, the confusion, the silent prayers. At the time, those years felt empty. But now, standing on stronger ground, he could see clearly. Nothing was wasted. Every rejection had redirected him. Every delay had disciplined him. Every lonely season had deepened him. The pain didn't disappear from his memory, but its meaning changed. And when pain finds meaning, it stops feeling pointless. He realized something powerful about human nature. We often pray for growth but resist the process that produces it. We ask to become stronger but complain when life gets heavy. We want resilience but avoid resistance. The weight he carried was not an accident, it was an answer. An answer to prayers he once prayed without understanding the cost. Strength has a price. Maturity has a price. Stability has a price. And he had paid it quietly through endurance. There were still moments when he felt small. Growth doesn't make you perfect, but it does make you aware. Earlier in life, small setbacks would have crushed his confidence. Now they became small lessons. He didn't crumble under minor pressure anymore. He adjusted, adapted, improved. That adaptability was born in the seasons of silence. When you survive long waiting seasons, short inconveniences no longer intimidate you. He also noticed that his mindset had changed completely. Earlier, he measured life by outcomes. Now he measured it by development. Success was no longer just about achievement. It was about becoming. Becoming disciplined. Becoming calm. Becoming wise. Becoming patient. Those qualities mattered more than applause. Because applause fades, but character remains. The weight had shaped his character in ways comfort never could. One evening, reflecting deeply, he whispered something he never thought he would say. "Thank you for the hard years." Not because they were enjoyable, but because they were transformative. Without them, he would have remained fragile. Without them, he would have chased speed instead of strength. Without them, he would have arrived unprepared. The weight didn't just make him stronger, it made him stable. He began noticing something unexpected. The people around him who had achieved early success were now struggling to maintain it. Some were overwhelmed. Some were burned out. Some were lost. And for the first time, he understood why his delay had been necessary. Success without foundation is fragile, but success built on endurance is stable. The weight he carried had strengthened his internal structure. He wasn't easily shaken anymore. Pressure didn't excite him or scare him, it refined him. And refinement creates sustainability. There were still storms. Life never becomes completely smooth. But storms no longer terrified him. Earlier, every challenge felt like a threat. Now challenges felt like tests he had already trained for. The difference wasn't in the storm, it was in him. When you've survived years of silent pressure, new difficulties don't intimidate you. They remind you of who you've become. He also learned to help others differently. Earlier, he gave advice from theory. Now he spoke from experience. When someone felt delayed, he understood the frustration. When someone felt forgotten, he understood the silence. His weight had given him empathy, and empathy is a strength that only pain can teach. The struggles he once hated became tools to lift others. Looking back, he realized that the hardest part of his journey wasn't failure. It was waiting without explanation, not knowing when things would change, not knowing how long the silence would last. But that waiting built trust. It built endurance. It built depth. Waiting stretched him emotionally and spiritually in ways success never could. He understood something now that most people miss. Growth is invisible at first. Roots grow underground before branches reach the sky, and while he once envied those with visible progress, he now appreciated the unseen growth that shaped him, because when visibility finally came, he was ready for it. There was a moment when he stood alone, reflecting on his journey, and realized he no longer feared the future. Earlier, the unknown terrified him. Now it excited him, because he had proven something to himself. He could survive. He could adapt. He could endure. That confidence didn't come from comfort. It came from surviving weight. He no longer rushed timelines. He trusted process. He understood that timing is not about speed. It's about readiness. And readiness cannot be forced. It must be formed. The delay had formed him slowly, carefully, intentionally. He stopped seeing silence as absence. He saw it as construction. Just because he couldn't see movement didn't mean nothing was happening. Construction is loud at first, but foundation work is often quiet. His life had been under construction in silence. The weight also removed arrogance. Had success come earlier, pride might have grown faster than wisdom. But struggle humbled him. It reminded him that strength is a gift developed through endurance, not entitlement. He realized that the strongest people are not those who avoid hardship, but those who walk through it without losing their integrity. Integrity was another gift the weight gave him. He remained honest, disciplined, and patient even when no reward was visible. One day someone asked him, "What changed your life?" He paused before answering. It wasn't a single opportunity. It wasn't a lucky break. It wasn't a sudden miracle. It was the years of pressure that didn't break him. It was the silence that matured him. It was the weight that strengthened him. He understood that pain is not the enemy. Wasted pain is. If pain teaches you nothing, it only hurts. But if pain trains you, it transforms you. He chose to let every hard season educate him instead of embitter him. There was peace in him now. Not because life was perfect, but because he was prepared. Preparation creates peace. When you know you've been built through fire, you don't fear heat anymore. He finally understood the truth he once resisted. The weight was never meant to crush him. It was meant to carry him forward. It increased his capacity. It deepened his character. It strengthened his spirit. So if you are in a heavy season right now, if progress feels slow, if silence feels unfair, remember this: you are not being punished. You are being prepared. The pressure you feel today is increasing your capacity for tomorrow. The delay you hate is building the discipline you'll need. The silence that scares you is strengthening you in ways applause never could. One day you will look back at this season, and instead of asking why, you will whisper thank you, because the weight didn't break you. It built you.